Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another traditional or best of 3 draft of Murders at Karlov Manor. Without further ado, let's scoop up our pack 1 pick 1 here, which is probably just Inside Source, honestly. One of the most busted commons in the format, 3 mana for a 1-1 and a 2-2, and that 1-1 can buff the 2-2 later, or any other detective on your board. Card is sweet, it's great for getting a wide board state early, getting a lot of aggression in there, and just a great card even by its lonesome, so big fan of that. Definitely the best common in the pack. The only competition here with such a poop rare is maybe one of these uncommons like Push and Pull as the only real thing competing, but this is a pretty empty pack for the most part. Extract a Confession, Unscrupulous Agent, Tunnel Tipster. These are fine cards, but they're nothing compared to Inside Source. Pick number 2. We can continue down the white train with another premium common. Makeshift Binding is one of the best removal spells in the format, exiling a creature and gaining you 2 life, which is huge. Gets rid of any graveyard synergies your opponent might be toying around with, like Collect Evidence or anything like that. And very importantly, for aggressive mirror matches, which is a lot of the format, you get a nice little life gain pocket. So we'll take that Makeshift Binding here. Best off-color card, probably the Flourishing Bloomkin, push towards green-white here maybe. Nice when you're deep into green. It's a really good ramp when you flip it up. Outside of that, we could head to blue-white with No More Lies as a solid cheap counterspell. It's kind of it though. I think these 3 are the best cards, so we can just take the binding and stick on color for now. Pack 1, pick 3. Solid 2-mana creatures are really important to take early, because they're slightly hard to come by, so Market Watch Phantom is a pretty high pick for me, and it certainly fits the bill of a solid 2-mana creature, especially if we go blue-white detectives. We don't know for sure what we're doing outside of white right now, but Market Watch Phantom, really good card to curve out with in any aggressive deck. Just keep giving it flying and finding a bunch of nice evasive damage, so solid pick up here. And it isn't competing with much. The only other cards I like out of this pack are Gadget Technician and Case File Auditor if you have a ton of enchantments in your deck. But the only cards that I think I'd even consider for most decks are the Technician, the Auditor, and maybe the Mistway Spy. Pretty weak pack. I think Market Watch Phantom is genuinely just the best card in the pack. Pick number 4, there's an On the Job, which is a pretty important card to have 1 or 2 copies of when you're a go wide aggro deck, which white can do quite a bit with cards like Inside Source if it's open enough in your draft pod. So we'll take On the Job here, again sticking to white and sending a pretty clear signal to the left by not giving anyone any white cards. So take the On the Job here, although we could absolutely take Murder or Gadget Technician moving into another color by now. Maybe the Warden because of the hybrid cost, but if we're going to just take a white card, On the Job is the superior pickup. Pick number 5, Granite Witness or a second On the Job. I like Granite Witness a lot for blue-white. I do like Offender at Large in red-white as well. But if we are blue-white detectives, I think Granite Witness is better for blue-white detectives than Offender at Large is for Boros, while they're both good in their respective decks. There's a slight argument for the On the Job just to cut it from anybody else, but I don't like taking the second one this early because I'd almost never run 3 copies, and sometimes I do have to cut them if we don't go wide enough, like if we're just a general blue-white deck. Red-white is where On the Job really shines. I'm gonna take the Granite Witness here. Pick number 6 is pretty much nothing. Felonious Rage is super filler for Boros. Agency Outfitter's a little too expensive for my tastes in blue-white, but since there's nothing else here, really, we'll still take it. And if we can get a copy of Magnifying Glass and Thinking Cap, we'll run it. It's cute, it's fun. It's not terrible. Pick number 7, solid filler creature out of white, the Griffknot Tracker. 4 mana, 3/2 flyer, just get some evasive damage in to try to end the game after you've got a lot of early aggro. It's not very good at what it's doing because the Enter the Battlefield effect doesn't matter enough to make up for being a 2 toughness 4 mana card, but it is good enough to be your last filler creature in a color that's usually pretty heavily contested. You're going to need a bit of filler in your deck most of the time. Pick number 8, so there's the Thinking Cap for the Agency Outfitter. I don't think I have to take that particularly highly though, and I'd love to send a huge message to stay out of white. There are basically no playables in this pack anyway, Phantom being a super filler card. Yeah, I'll just take the Phantom, keep people out of white. I only really want one thinking cap, and I only really want it if we do go blue-white and play the Outfitter. Pick 9. Well, another Defenestrated Phantom. Mono white for now. Unscrupulous Agent is fine if we go black-white. So that could be a speculative pick here, but I'm just going to send no white cards to the left. All right, blue-white, probably the most open two-color pair that involves white here. If we see these two late, I think these are both solid, serviceable playables for the blue-white Detectives deck. I'll take the cheaper card. It's generally a good rule of thumb. The sudden setback is fine as well. I just think it's a tiny bit expensive for a 1-for-1 tempo removal spell, so it usually doesn't play particularly great. All right, pack number 2. What do we got here? A Zoni. That's awkward because that's very far from being deep into white and blue, two colors that a Zoni is not. So, all right, rough open there because a Zoni is such a good card, but isn't really draftable for us. So we just take a fine removal spell with Not on My Watch, or a fine combat trick or draw spell. I'll just grab the removal here. All right, a little sad about that open. Yeah, now we get past a pack that has very little for us. We can grab the second on the job now, I guess. Probably do take that over the Griffknot Tracker, and Researcher's great for grindier, really rampy kind of blue decks. Not super important for blue-white. Just take another on the job if we end up being super wide aggro stuff. There's another one. There's infinite on the jobs anyway. Pick 3. Okay, we do have 4 blue cards, but one of these is also a red card, so I could start taking some of the red. We saw a Galvanized last pack too, and there's one here, so maybe being a little open towards Boros is fine. Crime Stopper Sprite is good. I don't think it's super mega premium to where I have to take it, though, over a speculation on Galvanize. Speculate on Galvanize and see if Boros ends up being the direction to go. Not super likely, but yeah, we're seeing plenty of Crime Stopper sprites towards blue. Yeah, the format really has been solved, hasn't it? I can send no white cards to the left, and I will still get no white cards back. Pack 2. White too strong. Please nerf everyone draft white so that all the white decks are a little weaker. And that is what's happening here. We still get a Dog Walker, though, which with double on the job is pretty important, even if we're not in red. Just play this and flip it up for double white to get that wide board. Pick 6, Projector Inspector is awesome in blue-white detectives to let us dig through our whole deck. Love the card. Burden Proof is fine too. Dramatic Accusation is fine, but neither are great. Like Projector Inspector is. Okay, well, this is reasonable. We want more 2-mana creatures for sure, which is part of why I picked that Phantom so early. As you can see, haven't seen any other like good 2-mana creatures yet. And we're like halfway through the draft now, so you gotta take these kind of cards real early. Yeah, plenty of Crime Stopper sprites to go around, so blue is a very good secondary color to be in. Alright, there's a 2-drop. It's not a super good one, but it gives us a 2-mana creature to play on curve, and it is fine when we have Inside Source and Dog Walker to help it out a little. Take it over Sudden Setback. Well, pick 9 Offender at Large, first good red card we've seen. It's basically impossible we pivot back to red, though, so take a Living Conundrum for a sideboard option that is quite unlikely to ever go into the deck. Still more likely, I think, than the Offender at Large. Boobule Smoogule. Very filler card, but trying to get to 23 playables right now. And that gives us a 2-mana creature. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. Well, there you go, there's a Private Eye. Do I just take the Makeshift Binding and try to float this around the draft pod? The amount of Crime Stopper sprites we've been seeing, we can definitely hope we're the only blue-white detectives player, but the white decks are so good, in particular red, white, and blue-white, that we very well might not be. And they've just been taking white cards over the blue cards. Second makeshift binding is really good. I'm gonna really cross my fingers on this that nobody else is in blue-white, and I'm gonna try to get binding plus private eye. It's a bit of a greedy pick here, but binding is almost as good, honestly, even in this deck, as the private eye. Oh, actually, Fuss Bother is better than Cold Case Cracker. Even though the card is good, Fuss Bother is just really flexible. Multiple combat tricks on an attack early, much like an on the job, that gives you permanent value throughout the game with those +1/+1 counters. Or late game, post board wipe, or in a top deck war, it's 3 1/1 flyers and you set up your next draws, so card's really good. Deceptively good. Pack 3, pick 3. Do I take another Fuss Bother? I think it's good enough to take over another 3-mana card. I've got a lot of 3-mana cards here, but Projector Inspector is really good too, and a blue-white duel is great, but I'm going to take another Fuss Bother. I really do love the card. Double Fuss Bother and double On the Job's a little weird, though. It's kind of like 4 On the Jobs or 4 Fusses. That may be a little awkward. I mean, we're at 15 creatures, so it's fine. Pick 4, another 4-drop. Just take the tracker here. We've got double binding and a Not on My Watch, so I'm not going to take Accusation over a 16th creature. Okay, I have 2 enchantments in this deck. Probably not enough for Case File Auditor. I don't really like the 2-mana 2/1 that Surveils. I do like Unauthorized Exit. It has a 2-drop play. Pretty flexible 1/2 we can use to counter removal from our opponent later and just recast our creature and stuff. I like Unauthorized Exit enough to take it over Automaton. Add to our 2-mana curve. Because we can just play it defensively turn 2 if we need to be getting stuff. I'm happy to be in blue-white here. Got 1 artifact spell to play with Gadgeteer, so that ain't it. Probably Consultant here, just add to the 2-drops, but Sprite and Feyflight are better. They just fit less well with what we're actually looking for right now. Oops, almost clicked the wrong card. Pick 7, I'm really happy to grab it out cold to win the Tempo War, get a ton of damage out of nowhere, and lock our opponent's blockers out of the game. 26 cards, cut a couple here. Phantoms and On the Jobs feel like the first cuts. And maybe a Bubble Smuggler. Make the deck building a little faster here. I think these are all potential cuts. Let's go 1 on the job because I'm going to be cutting creatures here and then drop double Phantom. Do that for now. Crowvat Haunch. It's probably better than Bubble Smuggler at least. It's another way to get 2 creatures off 1 card for the on the job, and it's also a way to buff flyers up with the equipment. That seems reasonable. Alright, this is pick 9 where we would have wheeled the blue-white detective build around, but somebody's in our deck. Sad day. Take a Jaded Analyst or a Deduce. I'll take the Analyst. Probably don't end up running either, but Analyst is at least like a good sideboard option if our opponent is really aggressive. Oh, another 2-mana creature. Not completely unplayable here. Oh wow, we actually didn't get to the Agency Outfitter. It's just a 4/3 flyer. We didn't get the cards to tutor out with it. We had a chance to get a Thinking Cap. That was a reasonable time to take the card. I just figured we could probably get one later. Magnifying Glass, I think the only time we saw it was a time where it would not have made sense to pick it that early. It was like pick 3 or something. 3 or 4. Like, there was something actually pretty good in that pack. But I think we, like, speculated over taking Thinking Cap pretty late. But either way, even if we ended up with the cap, we wouldn't have had both the cards, because I don't think the Magnifying Glass was the correct pick at the time that we saw that. Okay, so 42 cards. We only have to cut 2. I don't think there's anything playable in the sideboard. I mean, maybe Bubble Smuggler's better than Automaton? Probably not. That's really it. Another on the job, but Not that good at getting a wide board, especially considering we might be cutting more creatures here. And we have double Fuss Bother being quite similar. 16 creatures, 9 non-creatures. Get the mountains out of here. We actually only have like 1 clue token, so Analyst is basically never attacking. We've got a Projector Inspector that works with it too, I guess. An off-color Technician is way weaker than off-color Dogwalker. So these are the worst creatures for this deck, I think. I mean, the Tracker might be slightly worse than the Technician. I don't think the Consultants or the Automaton are, though, just since they are 2 mana things to do. We're at 16 creatures, about to cut like 1 more, be a 15 creature deck with 2 cards that go wide. 3 with Technician. I think I'm just going to run double Fuss Bother over any on the jobs in the end here. So I'll go on the job Analyst, call it a deck, and we can sideboard in and out accordingly. If we do think the go wide aggro is actually working really well and having on the jobs would be helpful. 14 white cards, 11 blue, 9-8 split seems right to me. We'll call it a deck here. Alright, here's a look at our final deck list for today. Nice little medium blue-white Detectives deck. Pretty simple stuff. We don't have anything super exciting or super crazy going on here. We've got a good creature count with multiple cards that make a couple bodies off the 1 card. So double Fuss Bother is going to be one of our best plays, I think, because it's going to be super flexible, helping us out when we're on the aggressive or the defensive. Great early, great late. So pretty happy with that, and the double Makeshift Binding for excellent removal. We can try to tempo our opponents out with some Crime Stopper Sprite stuns, some out cold stunning as well. But overall, just kind of a collection of mediocre blue-white spells holding the deck together, and we'll just try to curve out pretty well and see if we can draw our explosive spells like Fuss Bother at the right times. See how it all plays out as we head into the gameplay. Here we are with a forced mulligan for game 1. Start off with this fine 6-card hand. I mean, it's not great starting turn 3, but a couple flyers binding for their first really important threat. Not a terrible way to start things off. Our opponent starts with an escape tunnel, and that is going to pull out a forest. We have hit the 4th land, so we can curve out turn 3 and 4 with our creatures. Playing against a green-white deck, so it will be a white deck, which is usually a lot of nice aggressive creatures, lots of token production and stuff. Vitu-Ghazi Inspector. That 1-3 reach to start things off. Well, let's play this face down then, because Crime Stopper Sprite is not getting in by itself. Anyway. And there's a face down of their own. Now I'm going to curve out into Sprite plus flip the Witness next turn, which is pretty sick. I'll just play the Tracker for now. Alright, so they have 1 mana to flip something up. They could get the 2-2 that gives them a land, but that doesn't really matter. So I mean, I guess I'm just going to double flip to get damage in here. Well, double tap, not double flip. I guess if they somehow have a way to kill somebody, I'd rather they kill the Griffknot tracker. Or that's not what I mean. If they kill somebody on attacks, like if I trade off on blocks, I'd rather the tracker trade off. So we'll untap that to have it up on blocks, because it is the slightly weaker creature. Because Witness will be vigilant on all future attacks, but Tracker will not. There. That makes sense. That's where my line of thinking was going. I'd rather block with Tracker than Witness first. Maybe against green-white. It's actually better to block with Witness first, because they could have the big Vine Creeper thing face down. Flips into a 5/5, blows up an artifact for 6 mana. Rebel Belt Maverick, surveil a bit, set up their draws, and they keep both on top. It's not really what you ever want to see. Send in the face downs, we're not going to block. I mean, we trade even if they don't have tricks. Those are not great trades. Alright, land 7's a very awkward draw. I could Binding the Inspector to try to outrace them, hitting for 8 now and then just killing them next turn. Ideally. If I attack in with everybody, they can block the Sprite, take 6, go to 8 life, and then maybe they die out of nowhere to the makeshift Binding instead. But this way also plays around combat tricks, and they've got 4 open mana, so I feel like playing around combat tricks is pretty reasonable. Make sure they can't combat trick kill one of our flyers. I guess there is an uncommon combat trick that gives reach, and then they'd still be able to do it. Oh, it's instant speed removal. To exile one of them. So it's going to take 2 more hits to kill them. Still outrace them a tiny bit if they can't change the board state at all. But they have 3 more cards. We've got nothing left. So they probably can change it in their favor here. While we are playing off the top. The 3 swing, sending the entire team trigger battalion. On the job is what it is. Yeah, that will outrace us then. That alone, honestly. We go to 7 here, and they just kill us on the next attack, if that face down is anything decently sized. Go to, yeah. They have 5 power on the board. Any combat trick wins the race too. There's a Market Watch Phantom. That is a chance. We chump block 1 creature and hope they don't lethal. It's the game plan. It's going to be a real close race either way, and I don't think we have any shot if we're not threatening the 2-turn lethal here when they're up 3 cards. Let's see. Show me that lethal trick. Auspicious Arrival. It's got to be double combat trick then. And it is. Alright. Really close game. Got them down to 4 there. Really just feels like potentially 1 card away from winning. And we did mulligan to start it off, so that put us down 1 card naturally, so. Alright. Yeah, I'm fine with this matchup. They seem like they have a million combat tricks, so anything we have that could play around that pretty well would be nice. I don't think On the Job is actually a great reverse combat trick because it's 4 mana to hold it up. I think we already have our best plays against combat tricks. Unauthorized Exit is like one of the absolute best. That's super good against tricks, but Not on My Watch is great as well. And that's kind of it. I think we're running it back. Hit a small enough amount of flyers, maybe throwing in some phantoms here is solid. Just run it back here. Head into game number 2. Consultant into Crime Stopper Sprite into Griffknot Tracker is the curve if we draw another land in the next couple draw steps. Don't draw land, but we find a Makeshift Binding, which is a solid card. And even if we don't hit a land next turn, we do have 2 Crime Stopper Sprites in a row. Alright, there we go. That is the land we were looking for. Do I want to threaten a trick here or just block that? Probably just block that. Stop 2 damage instead of hitting for 1. But send in the team next turn. I guess blocking it makes it so our consultant could die to a combat trick, and we've seen that they're playing a lot of combat tricks. So maybe it was worth the send in to maybe sneak a damage in, and if not, we didn't want to block anyway. I guess holding it, yeah, I was going to say holding it back might at least just convince them not to attack in the first place. Well, hold up the unauthorized exit for an instant speed trick here and send in the whole board. Got exactly enough mana to pay for the ward here. You got it, you got reach. Okay, now I'll get rid of it. Wanted to see if they were going to use another trick to block tracker and buff here. Maybe they'd get a little antsy and do the double trick immediately. Ooh, we get to see it was a Greenbelt Radical. So having 6 lands would be fine. So you play Sprite plus Binding. But a 5th land isn't valuable till we hit the 6th. I think I'm just going to try to not flood. I'm just going to mill that and just keep playing 1 card a turn for a while. Not on my watch. Wow. That was a really efficient turn from our opponent then. The reach block trick plus the exile removal. There's the Greenbelt Radical face up now, and a Rubblebelt's Maverick. I think we just Crime Stopper Sprite then. And just save the binding. I guess Crime Stopper Sprite only gets 1 point of damage in, so I might as well just play the tracker. Yeah. Get more flying damage, and then I can just Sprite their reach creature first and then binding it on the last turn. So I can tap it, get my damage in, and expand my board. And then just clear it out. Alright, it's all removal. Buried in the Garden for Griffknot Tracker. We're still out racing for now, especially with Makeshift Binding coming up. And especially with Out Cold. So we Sprite to poke for 3. They probably just chump with Maverick. And they get a +1/+1 counter. But they can't kill the Consultant on blocks here. Unless they had a second of their 1 mana combat trick for the +2/+2. Alright, well, that was simple. They go for the concession there. That's going to be our game plan. We just want another game like that. They just don't play flyers and we stun their creatures long enough to kill them with the flyers. Let's run it back. I would probably do more sideboarding if the I'd probably do more sideboarding if the view battlefield button was working right now and I could look back on everything they played throughout the game. But I'm not. I'm not out here keeping a notepad, writing the notes of everything they cast and thinking about what's going to work where. view battlefield button's just too convenient for online Magic. I do in paper Magic sometimes if it's like if I really want to get value out of the event, I'll keep a notepad to write on to keep things in mind for future games, since there is no view battlefield button in paper, but I'm just gonna wait till the view battlefield button's back. Alright, here we are for game 3, opponents on the play. We could definitely flood out here, any extra lands are pretty bad draws, but we've got excellent removal with Makeshift Binding. We are starting things off turn 2, and the trackers have been solid in this matchup. Alright, opponent rolls things out with Inside Source turn 3. I've got one of those too. Just gonna Crime Stopper Sprite here. I don't even need to Sprite to get in. I guess they can just have their 2/2 bounce off my 1/3. Yeah. I think I am still trying to outrace for the most part in these games, so I will poke for 1 and get poked for 2. Well, that's GG. I need 4 mana value of cards in my graveyard to even target that thing. Yeah, I mean, if we fuss bother, that'll be in the grave, and then we can Makeshift Binding it. But in order to do anything with Fuss Bother right now, I have to attack pretty aggressively and hold like no blockers up. Take 7 on the crackback, not to mention the thousands of combat tricks they're running in their deck. I just don't think we can beat them. Curving into the Ferox after an Inside Source. Can't even double block it profitably because the Death Touch. Oh, what do we do? Like, attacking both and fussing here into spending our entire next turn Makeshift Binding the Ferox cannot be a winning game plan. I cannot imagine that is gonna work. Maybe there's the slightest chance in the universe curving out with Tracker into fussing next turn can outrace a tiny bit. We just accept that we don't have the evidence for Ferox. I don't think there's any world in which we do outrace the 4/4 Death Touch haste, though. If it didn't have the ward, yeah, we're winning this game, but not with that. I guess I could have traded Tracker into the 2/2 to pay for the ward now. It's an option. I'll probably just start chumping with Consultant. Face down card. Land 7, baby. Let's go. We just keep a 4-lander. But we are definitely getting punished for it. I guess depending how much I want the life gain, I can just exile the face down, go to 10 here. Dead to on the job, dead to a lot of tricks. 4, 5, 6, 7 damage on their board. They just need +3/+3 to kill us if I attack all. But if they don't have tricks, we hit for 8, then kill them next turn off of Fuss out of nowhere. I think that's just genuinely the best bet. Somehow they just don't have tricks here. The only way we get a 2-turn kill is by attacking with everybody and then fussing next turn. Alright, we're probably dead if they didn't block. And the fuss is also still only a kill if they don't leave a blocker up. 7 damage in the sky. Oh, there's the blocker. Well. Oh no, do they have the exile and attacking creature for 2? Do they have it in all 3 games? No. Oh. So close. So close. Put them to 1. It is. I think that's about as well as that was gonna go. We tried, and we got nail-bitingly close, but 0-1 to start it off, heading into round 2. Alright, here we are for round 2 with a real good curve. This is the best hand we've drawn so far. It's pretty sweet, and no mulligans required. Playing against a green deck, started with that Maverick to set up their draws. The draws are good, and they will remain on top. Second Consultant's kind of an awkward draw. I don't think that's going to fit into the curve anywhere. Probably not playing that thing till like turn 6, and at that point it's not very relevant. I mean, I guess it could still be attacking as a 3-3 if they don't kill a bunch of our creatures, but they're on a green-black deck, so probably a good chunk of removal. Face down card has hit the table. And Tipster is going to start putting in work. Just get a flyer down this turn, get a flyer down next turn. Just chose to tap the Tipster to see what kind of player my opponent is. To see if they're the kind of player that has to instinctually get every last bit of value, even if there's literally nothing they're going to do with that 1 green mana. They are not that kind of player. They didn't tap it for green in response to the sprite. Oh boy. Alright, well, we're going to get crocodiled pretty hard here. Some big beefy hits. What, do we try to stun that soon? Probably just chump it with Consultant. Race it with flyers. If I chump with Consultant, then chump with Technician, I've got 6 mana value for when I play Sprite the turn after. Play Sprite turn 6 now. Because we can go face down Technician, flip it, get a 1/1 Thopter, and add 1 more power flying on the board for future attacks. Homicide Investigator. If I do end up killing any of their cards, they are going to be investigating, but I'm probably not killing any of their cards because the one that I want to kill is a 5/5. Ooh. Well, I'm not exactly killing it, but I'm sort of killing it. Is it still better to play a Technician face down than it is to play Sprite, just so that when I do play the Sprite, I am actually tapping something relevant? Or is it just better to get more power in this guy immediately? I don't actually know. I'm gonna hold on to this spread. I'm gonna go for the Technician first. But I guess we don't need to do that till post-combat either way. Slightly awkward. We can't hold up the ability to flip the Technician or cast the Not on My Watch. But that's fine, because we're just going to cast Not on My Watch. Another face down from our opponents. They can try to outrace us with a wide board if they want, but we're not attacking with the 2/2s. Here's a Not on My Watch. Get off my Rolex. Exile the Crocodile. That is the only land I don't want to draw here. Island would have been fine because I could flip up Technician and play Sprite. Oh, get them to 8. This is kind of awkward. I think I have to play Sprite over flipping the face down. Because I'm threatening 6 damage in the sky next turn. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if I play Sprite. I guess it's not lethal either way. So we needed to hit an island there to represent lethal on the crackback. Well, in that case, I guess we flip up the Technician and hit for 6 in the sky next turn instead of 7 in the sky, since either isn't lethal anyway. I'll hold on to this in case they have Unscrupulous Agent to make me exile it. Yikes. Alright. Well, that's not good. Vengeful Creeper to blow up the Granite Witness. Take the 5 here to have a bigger crackback? I think I will. Nine life? I could see an argument for stunning the Investigator so they can't kill any of my creatures on blocks this turn. And they only block 1 card. They block a 3-power creature, take 3, 4, 5, 6, go to 2. 2 life without killing anything on my board feels like a very high chance of killing them next turn. Okay. They have to play removal and a combat trick to kill me, or they have to play a lot of blockers to survive. I guess actually because the Maverick is in their graveyard, they only need removal to kill me. I was not thinking of that. Maverick puts a 9th power on their board. If they have removal that costs 5 or less, they can get in for lethal here. Okay, that's not good. Oh my... Oh, they don't have any evidence! Oh my god, they don't have any evidence! For Azoni, they don't get the spiders. I'm so used to Azoni hitting the board and getting 2/2/1 Menace spiders. Menace Reach spiders, more importantly. Oh my god, did we actually just get there? Because they don't have the evidence for Azoni? Oh my god, we do! I think they thought they were going to get the spiders too. Alright, start round 2 off 1-0 here. We can go for the tempo game plan yet again in this kind of matchup. Just get a bunch of flying damage in and stun and slow down their creatures on the ground. It's gonna be our idea here. I like this build for that, so I'm gonna run it back. I mean, I can't look back and do the evidence collecting right now because the screen is pitch black. All right, we don't start things till turn 3, but we start things quite well. Our flyers and our dog walker. Makeshift binding is going to be really nice in this matchup because they have some beefy creatures. The one thing I don't love about the binding in the matchup is they do have the creeper to blow it up later. All right, that's a great draw. Now we do start things on turn 2. Uh-oh, 1-drop, 2-drop on the play. Maverick into Investigator. Certainly going to need to do some blocking here, but that 1/3 booty can do so. Are we going to get the 4 of a kind? All of the Crime Stoppers? We'll see. We're almost to a full house. Just need the second binding. That case is pretty nice here. Make that a 4/4 Investigator to keep getting in. I guess I will just binding immediately because that card's got great abilities and it's a 4/4, so play the defensive here rather than starting to slam down sprites just yet. It's a pretty big makeshift binding target. Start poking each other for 1 a turn. Sample collector. They don't have any evidence for it yet, but when they do, it does some pretty good things. So I kind of want to hold on to tracker to get rid of any evidence in their grave, but then I have to play a 2-power creature instead of a 3-power creature this turn. Guess that's fine, because we still tap the collector to poke for 1 if we want. Although we'd probably rather just block 2 damage than hit for 1. And this blocks 3 damage if they don't kill Consultant, because they don't want to attack with either here. Alright, well maybe they do. They have the Case of the Gorgon thingy? Nope. Just trying to sneak some damage in. You're not fooling me. Granite Witness, beautiful draw. Now I get to play a 3/2 flyer without getting rid of my card that actually gets rid of evidence from their grave. And that lets us wait on this dog walker till we have 5 mana to play it and flip it in the same turn. Go to 14. Another Rubble Belt Maverick to fill that graveyard with some evidence for the sample collector. Surprised by that post-combat, but that might mean they have like a 4-mana flip on their face down, or they have some tricks here or something. Well, there's 5 mana value in grave, so that is enough evidence now to, I think, just clear that out of the graveyard. We do get to attack with a 3/3 by attacking with everybody, so I'm actually going to go all in here. And get a Maverick killed as well, and that's another card we get to exile. Yes, this Griffinaut tracker is just going to be great. Really nice stuff from the tracker. One of the best Griffinaut trackers I've cast this format. Usually it's just so filler, but this is really good this game. Play 2 Crime Stopper sprites. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage. 11 is not 12. I guess because Dogwalker makes tapped dogs anyway. Might as well play 1. And then do a face down dog walker if I want to do that still. I guess I will play a face down dog walker so that Crime Stopper Sprite for the tap ability makes it just even more likely we kill them next turn. Nervous Gardener's a 2/2, and there's the concession. Just classic blue-white Flyers nonsense. Steals the match from our opponent, and we are now 1-1 as we head into the final battle. Alright, here we are for the final round. Opponent is going to be on the play 2 of these 3 games, if it goes to 3 games. We will keep the hand here. Turn 1 Gorehound on the play. Scary. Scary start. If they can follow that up with 2-drop into 3-drop, we are going to be behind quite a bit. Well, Crowfile Haunch doesn't immediately impact the board, but it's not exactly good for us. They can just have a 3/1 Menace starting to get in now. Well, they do have a 3-drop, so probably a Disguise card or something. Yep. Trigger the Gorehound, get a Surveil here to set up the draws. You are a turn late, Automaton. Fashionably late. I think I'd rather trade a face-down Technician into their face-down than a Crime Stopper Sprite. Because I don't think we're going to have the time to flip this thing anyway. Ooh, well, it is also better to make them spend 4 mana to kill our creature than 2 mana to kill our creature, so that works out too, because at least now they don't equip the Haunch this turn while killing our 1 blocker. Stun both their creatures and just sit here for a second. Try to catch my breath. Now it's only 3 damage from these 2 creatures, and I am at 15, so it might just be better to try to surveil into a land. Put a 2/1 in, yeah, 2/1 in front of their 2/2. If they play a 5th land, that could be bad, because then they could flip that up into something with more than 2 toughness pretty easily. But yeah, Automaton holds off the face down. That was a great turn for us. We can just cast 2 copies of Bother. Try to win the game off that. Yeah, we're on our way. I'm not going to attack in here, so I'm not going to aim for the ward. I guess I could still target that and just let the ability get countered, but then I might misclick. They give me the giant glowing button that says pay for ward question mark? Alright, the Haunch has been cracked to get some puppies. To do some surveilling. Now they can trigger their Case of the Gateway Express to buff their entire board in the future. Everybody gets +1/+0. Luckily, doesn't add any toughness, it's just +1 power, so these Bothers can go a very long way towards getting some blocks going. Yeah, that's a solid attack there. Having the Merger to clear out the 2 toughness blocker to get this swing. I mean, these are going to be 2/1s after the case anyway, so 2/1 for 2/1 trade. It's fine, but the fact that they've just not been attacking with the face down means this Automaton is kind of holding off 2 damage a turn by staying here. So we'll let it stay here. Ah, alright, well, that is not land 6. Witness and flip it up, I guess. Tap the Gorehound when they move to combat. Well, shoot. the bothers give me the 1/1s to trade into 2/1s. But I go to 7 if I don't block here, and they've got a menace creature. I'm gonna take the trade at this point. Alright, well there's land 6 now that I traded. Sultan's fine. But I'm just going to cast another Bother, so probably mill that and then bother to mill more stuff. Dig for big plays. Block the dog, double block the Gorehound. Okay, or just double block the Gorehound. Another face down. Inside Source is a good draw. Multiple blockers is just awesome at this point. Against the flipped case, or the solved case, I should say. We are very confident that their first face down is a 2/2 based on how they've been attacking all game, so I will double block the first face down. The second one, some big risks too, so I'm just gonna let it hit for a turn until I establish much better blocks. Drop a couple 3-mana spells now. Actually seems kind of sweet. I'll have 3 blockers up. I am at 6 life though, so... yeah, let's have 4 blockers up. A little safety valve here. I think I'm going to throw the detective under the bus. Figure out what this middle face down is. Never mind. Oh, well, that's going to kill the 2/2 flyer over the 2/2 on the ground. Alright, I can still throw the 2/2 on the ground under the middle face down. Maybe like the 3/2 that gives him another 2/2 or something. Or the 4/2 that trades with something. It is the 3/2 that gives him another 2/2. Alright, that's not terrible. Market Watch Phantom. Potential flyer's not great for me. He's not land 7, so if I out cold, I'm just stunning and drawing a card here. 6 life. Stun the Phantom. Stun the face down. Draw a card. 3 blockers is enough after the double stun. Block a 1/1 and a 2/2 with all 3 of these. Another face down. Which, because of the case, is too big to trigger the Phantom. Still stunning the Phantom, though, I think. Well, no, I guess we stun the detective instead, because if we, block with 2 creatures, we'd rather kill the one that could get flying later than the one that can't. And we're definitely stunning creatures that are able to attack this turn. Stupid big glowing pay button. I do not want to pay for the ward when my spell is uncounterable. They are going to send that Phantom in, alright. I think it's worth not having my life total right now. Lifelink, that's pretty big. The fact that it's only a 1 toughness flyer, though, is nice. These Thopters are real nice against that. Well, I guess they were already at 18. The lifelink isn't actually that big. Okay. It's my own Market Watch Phantom. I've got 7 mana. Now I can Tracker plus Dog Walker pretty well for the turn. Seems solid. Seems solid. Kind of have to keep 2 back in case they kill one of these things. Whenever one or more creatures leave their graveyard, I lose a life, so I have to pick non-creatures. Get rid of some random evidence, I guess. Their graveyard's so big at this point, it doesn't really matter. And there's binding for Tracker. I somehow don't have Plains 3 yet. Oh, I guess I surveilled them away. Yeah, that makes sense. I can't flip Dogwalker and play Phantom. I think I have to just play Phantom then. Just slowly chip in. I can't really hold up just a single flyer here, because then they kill the 1 flyer I'm holding up and hit me for 3, gain 3. So I guess I'm just going to keep chipping in for a single point of damage at this point. This game has gone on so much longer than I thought it would. They started with some nice cheap Gorehound threats. We are going to mill out before them, and that is pretty quickly becoming a way to lose here. And by quickly, I mean in 15 turns. But those turns will fly by in a top deck war. We're just staring at each other. It's the turn I make the dogs, the Phantom jumps into the sky, but it's just going to run into a Savior anyway. I guess if it runs into a Savior, that means that the Thopters get to keep hitting from here on out, so... yeah, maybe I was supposed to Dog Walker during my turn and try to trade Phantom for Savior. So silly. We would have been so dead here without the double bother. Well, we'll see if that accomplished anything other than just prolonging things. Alright, they did have the removal for 1 of the 1/1 flyers. So, pretty happy to have held up the double. But maybe they're just trying to top deck another removal spell to then get in with Savior. Or their face down can do something. We'll see. Oh, it can! Unyielding Gatekeeper? Flicker the Soul Enervation and kill the other one? That way they don't give me a 2/2 in the process of killing the flyer. Yeah. Alright, well that was a really good face down. The rare Unyielding Gatekeeper. And these are really bad draws. So, 1 removal spell and we're dead. And that was their instant top deck? And that was their immediate top deck after doing the double removal turn. Alright. Well, I think we fought about as hard as we could there. Still a loss in the end. They just had a really good aggressive start. We got the double bother to really prolong that game, but we were miles behind and then lost the top deck war something fierce in the end. Land clump and removal clump being the two sides of the table. I don't think we have much of a sideboard here. Just want things to curve out a little quicker for us, a little better on the early defensive. So maybe Analyst, maybe Bubble Smuggler, but these don't even block the little 1/1 Menacer super well. And again, kind of annoyed by just the black screen, so a little hard to go back and gather all the information. I'm just going to run it back. We do get to be on the play this time around, which is nice and helpful. But we will have to win a game where they are on the play again to win this match. Even if I do somehow win game 2. We'll see. I mean, the hand's looking actually pretty good. Currently. Ooh, Fuss Bother. That makes me want a Dog Walker, so I just have a super big board of dogs to fuss around with. If we top deck a Plains, we're in an incredible position to play a Consultant and flip the Dog Walker. Alright. Not a Plains, but Crime Stopper Sprite's a good draw too. Yeah. Sure. Keep slapping them with some flying damage. Wisp, Drinker, Vampire. Well, that's going to get bindinged then. I can flip a Dog Walker and play Consultant, but then I don't attack in at all this turn, so I think it is still just binding for now. Get the 2-poke. Soul Enervation on the Crime Stopper Sprite, fair enough. Another Fuss Bother? Alright, so we're gonna go all the way to Magical Christmas Land then. I guess I actually should have just played Consultant and then instant speeded the Dog Walker during their turn. So they wouldn't know exactly how many creatures I have. And exactly what my face down is. Yeah, there was literal zero reason to get the dogs first. Okay, there's almost definitely a way that they could block well here, but math is for blockers. If they just play around on the job as well as they can, that's going to play around Fuss Bother about as well. But now I have an unauthorized exit for another option. If the attack looks profitable. Or more profitable with that. Okay, no, Fuss is completely disgusting here. We just wipe their entire board and just lose the dogs. Alright. Good stuff from Fuss. Okay. Show me how you survive this, I guess. Murder. Yeah. Take 5 then? Sure. Fuss is not going to be lethal here, so just allow that and then drop the Granite Witness. Alright. They're going to have to do more work this turn to not die. This one's got to be double removal spell, and even then they go to 1. Desist, blow up all enchantments. Actually kind of sick there, but they already know about our giant mountain of Crime Stopper sprites, so I'll use that here to not show them the unauthorized exit. And that will be the kill. Alright, well, it's going to be a close matchup. I mean, game 1 was just an absolute beating. They demolished us, and then game 2 was kind of an absolute beating in the other direction, with that fuss really blowing them out. So, see if it all just comes down to who's on the play, or maybe our deck is a little strong enough that we could hit a good hand here, maybe get the comeback this time around, unlike game 1. We'll see. It is anyone's game. I think our decks are pretty evenly matched with how the first couple games played out, so see how it all wraps up in the final game of Magic for the draft. Well, Forced Mulligan's not a great start to the last game. Neither is this hand that doesn't start till turn 4, but I can't justify mulliganing down to 5 here. I think we're just too far behind. I think we just ditch a land and hope we draw the cheap creatures. Oh, we might just get ran over here. Yeah, first draw is land. They haven't started till turn 2 at least, and we do have double binding to give us a little life total pocket to slow things down. And there's a face down. Second draws a land as well. I kind of have to slow things down here. I kind of hate this, but I think we do need to Binding a Phantom with how our hand is. Gravestone Strider? Okay. That is some serious breathing room. A 2-mana 1/3 is the play on turn 3. So here's our 3/2 flyer. Yeah, they miss a land drop and play a 2-mana card turn 3. That feels good. Alright, that's not awesome. Kill our one important creature here. And get a really mana efficient turn there. Just lock up some blocks here. Play this land. If I hit land 6, I can then out cold and crack the clue. I don't think we've seen a single unscrupulous agent from them. If we have, they discarded it. We saw it because it was in their graveyard, but I don't think they've had one. They had like the 3/2 that dies into a 2/2 in their deck, right? That'd be a pretty bad double block there. I'm just going to single block Strider. It'd also be a pretty bad single block. I guess it's not horrible because the Consultants aren't really going to get buffed anyway, but it's probably the 3/2 and they kill Consultant. We'll see. If they have their own fuss for the reverse blowout, that'd be crazy. Actually, it's not even a blowout. Only one of the Consultants dies. Never mind. Oh, it's a slice? Okay, that's really okay, I think. It's a super fine outcome there. Well, now we're going to out cold to buy some time so we can save binding for something better. There is the 4th land. Another slice? Oh, they're just going to get 1 damage in, sure. Okay. Let's get our clue, get our card. Find a bother. Pretty big deal. And a Gadget Technician. Those are really good draws. I'm going to bother first to set up our draws next turn, which are both good again. Sprite first. I play a face down Technician and Sprite next turn. Kind of sad I didn't get to mill a couple lands here. That means we will end up drawing 2 more lands at some point this game. We've milled no lands so far. I like the play. Strider right onto the haunch here and just get jamming. Or haunch right onto the Strider, the other way around. $20 life. Not really sure what we want to stun. Because if I stun the Strider, they're just gonna move the haunch over anyway. Could stun the Gorehound because it forces multiple blocks. And I don't want to stun the face down, because then I don't get to play my own Technician for the turn. $11 life, 2 blockers up. Makeshift Binding for the gain 2 and another removal spell coming up. This might be a bad idea, but I'm going to go all in on the race. Start hacking away at their life total. Okay, the lifelink flip is good, but a 2-1 flyer is definitely worse than just a 2-2 on the ground on this board. So it's a good flip for them, but then not good on the board in the future. Kind of want a binding to force them into bad triple attacks if they want to flip the case. So I'm going to binding this face down. Which means no flip of our Technician, but that's fine for now. What did we get? Dog Walker? Great one. That is really good with the case. $8 life. Block Strider with a 2-2 and 1-1 at this point. No, because I really want this to be a 3-2 to 1-for-1 trade into Strider. Yeah, we might just have to chump Strider. Neither of these, I think, are blocking for us right now. Come on in, Strider, welcome. Down to 5. Offer the Savior for Sprite. That's the only trade they would make in the sky. It might be able to just keep chipping for 2 a turn for a while. They're going to get the wide board for the case to make it really easy to trigger. That means no more crazy Strider attacks at least, but if they do have an on the job or something, we're going to mega die. And I guess I'll have 5 blockers of my own, so I won't literally die, but all my creatures will die for nothing. We won't be able to make trades against +2/+1 on the entire board. Gross. That actually is insane sideboard tech against us. Yeah. Ooh, we do really lose the best of 3 to that card, don't we? Alright. GG. Clear out all of our flyers and get all their creatures back. So nasty. Down to 3. I mean, off that draw, things might not be completely over. But they probably still are. I'm gonna untap a creature with the flip rather than tapping somebody. This would be insane if I somehow make a comeback after the, like, 4 or 5 for 1 assist there. And double block the menace. I really wish I could. So I could save one more creature here. I guess I could take the one and exile this Market Watch Phantom to save my other flyer. Is an option. Kind of would have to hit straight gas to have any chance from here, so 1 land is sort of a death sentence. It was extremely likely to hit a land by now. We're halfway through the deck. We only hit like 7. So it is just pretty probable statistically. Alright, and that is pretty dead. This is likely just like gonna spit out multiple creatures. Yep, spits out a 2/2. 1 last top deck. And that's not enough. That is game. A 1 and 2. A big bummer of an ending to go 1 and 2 here, below average record. But we did win 1 round and we got insanely close in our first round loss. We lost by a single point of life, so maybe there was a line I could have found an extra point of damage in there, but overall an insanely close draft from being average, because all of our losing rounds, we got at least 1 winning game in there, and our first losing round, again, we got them down to 1, which was super, super close. Yeah, I mean, that desist, destroy all artifacts and enchantments, is just way too good against our deck. That was incredible. That game 3 completely flipped the table on us. Like, without that, I think we were pulling ahead really well, but kill all 3 of our Thopters and both of our makeshift bindings. That was filthy. Incredible sideboard tech from our opponent, going to wrap this draft up. 1 and 2 it is, below average run this time around. So, a bit of a bummer, but again, I don't think our archetype was the most open in the world. This was just a nice little average detectives deck, and it gets about as close to average as you can get in a 3-round tournament. Like, you can't go exactly 50-50. You either go 2-1 or 1-2. And we went 1-2 with one of the games being a single life point from going 2-1. So I think that's literally like as close as you can go to like 50-50. So we'll take that. Average run for a pretty average deck. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing some more like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.